The sexual sin is so detrimental. It causes so much damage that it is not something to play with. A story is told in Florida a few years ago. A young man had purchased a python, a pet python. He loved this pet python. He loved it, and everyone that came over loved to see him bring out his pet python. Loved to play with it, loved to have it. Had a young family, had a 2-year-old son and his wife, and that pet python began to grow over time. Matter of fact, a couple years after he had purchased it, one night while everyone was asleep, the pet python that was so small and so wonderful to enjoy and play with broke out the cage. When that owner of that python woke up the next morning, he tragically discovered that his 2-year-old son had been killed by this python. That python had broken out and had wrapped around his child and had suffocated that child to death. Started out with something he could play with, something fun that everybody enjoyed having. But something that he could play with for a little while eventually began to take someone's life that he loved dearly. Friends, sexual sin, it seemed like something you can play with for a little while. But you and I got to understand, eventually what you're playing with will grow bigger than you ever imagined. It will sneak out its cage that you thought you had covered up and locked up with your phone code and your computer codes. It will sneak out and begin to wrap around some stuff in your life. It'll choke out your marriage and choke out your spirituality and choke out your worship and choke out your service to God and choke out your marriage. It'll even choke out your career, because some men have lost their jobs because of adultery and pornography and sexual sin. Friend, tell the brother next to you, it's nothing to play with. Nothing to play with, man. Nothing to play with. It's a serious.